Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Lightning Bolt and Flutter. Last time, they went into the bedroom, and you can guess what can happen there. Without further ado, let's hop right into it. Under the light of the moon, Lightning Bolt led Fluttershy into Rainbow Dash's room. A variety of Wonderbolt's memorabilia decorated the walls. In the center of the room sat her large bed, the covers rainbow striped. Lightning climbed onto the bed and laid down, motioning for Fluttershy to join him. She obliged, joining him on the bed. Although still red in the face, she snuggled up to him, and he gave her a small kiss on the cheek. Fluttershy smiled, but then worry crossed her face. Lightning, have you ever been with another pony before? Fluttershy's voice was soft and slightly nervous. Lightning chuckled a bit and rolled over onto his back, still looking at her. Well, he explained, there was this young zebra schoolteacher who was very grateful for me for saving her school from being burned down, if you catch my drift. Grateful to my entire team, in fact, at the same time. Upon hearing this, Fluttershy gave an embarrassed squeak. Lightning laughed, poking her side teasingly. Hey, love is different over there. Zebras are much more open about sex. To them, oral is about as casual as a hoof shake. Well, maybe not the casual, but not far from it. It's not uncommon for zebras to have sexual relationships with most of their opposite gender friends, even if they don't have romantic relationships with them. And as we found out, it's an accepted way of saying thank you. Fluttershy had her face buried in her hooves, thoroughly embarrassed. Wow, Fluttershy spoke quietly. I can't imagine being so loose, Lightning grinned. The fact that the zebra contractive spell is simple and easy to cast probably helps, he said. Although many go without it when breeding with ponies, apparently Zoni foals are popular over there. I asked a local about it and she said something about it strengthening the bond between our two nations and such. They didn't seem to care that none of us would be around to raise the foals, since most ponies return to Equestria after a few months. She was rather disappointed when I told her I wasn't interested. The higher-ups forbade us from mingling with the locals like that. Otherwise, every Pegasus on base would be sneaking off to play with the amorous zebra mares, he grinned. Of course, that's what we did anyway, but to answer your question, I've never been with a pony before. You'll be my first, Fluttershy. Lightning, she said. You'll be my first too. Not just my first pony, my first at all. So I probably won't be very good. She trailed off, turning away from him. Lightning Bolt put a hoof on her shoulder, comforting her. Hey Fluttershy, don't feel like that. I wouldn't compare you to them. That was just sex for fun. Stress relief. Experiencing another culture. Lust, not love. Not what I feel for you. Without saying a word, Fluttershy turned and brought her mouth to his, initiating a kiss. Lightning Bolt blinked in surprise and embraced her, kissing back. After a few seconds, Fluttershy broke the kiss, staring deep into Lightning's eyes. I'm ready, Lightning. I want this with you. You mentioned oral earlier. Can we try that first? I want to take it slow. She explained. Lightning smiled warmly and nodded, leaning back and resting his hooves beyond his head. His penis, which had begun growing while he described his escapades with zebra mares, was now fully erect. That's fine, Fluttershy. Go at your own pace, she nodded and bent down, coming to eye level with his member. It was big, she supposed, not much bigger than average for a pony, but still being this close to it made her nervous. It was a darker blue than his coat, and halfway down the shaft she saw his medial ring. Underneath rested his balls, again only slightly larger than average, but very round. All in all, it was enticing to Fluttershy. She looked up past it at Lightning. His green eyes gazed back at her, and he gave a small nod of encouragement. Experimentally, she took the tip of it into her mouth. She began to suck gently, keeping her eye contact with Lightning Bolt as she did. Judging by a small amount of pleasure, she was doing it right, she continued. Slowly sinking down onto it, she reached her limit into his medial ring, unable to get farther. Fluttershy paused for a moment to readjust, then started moving her mouth and lips up and down, pleasuring him. Lightning Bolt said happily, enjoying the sight of Fluttershy between his legs. He reached down and rested a hoof between her ears, feeling her pink mane as he bobbed her head up and down on his cock. She continued to suck him, and together they worked into a slow rhythm. Although there was not much room in her mouth, Fluttershy swirled her tongue around across his head and along his shaft. She used Lightning's low moaning to judge what he liked. Gradually, her speed increased, as did Lightning's moaning. Damn, Fluttershy, he grunted. I'm close already. Get ready for it. Fluttershy nodded and went down on him again, as deep as she could. This time, she managed to get slightly past his medial ring, although it made her eyes water. Lightning grunted again and thrust his hips up, reaching orgasm. Fluttershy tensed up as she felt his load into her mouth, but she promptly relaxed and swallowed, accepting his seed. The next few spurts she swallowed as well, until she heard Lightning exhale. She swallowed for the last time and raised up, her muzzle just above the head of his cock. To her surprise, he shuddered and released a final load of semen, striking her full in the face. Fluttershy closed her eyes and yelped, drawing back in shock. Luckily, none of it hit her in the eyes, but her muzzle and forehead were covered, as well as her mane. Lightning gasped. Ugh, sorry. I got caught up in the moment. I didn't mean to dirty such a pretty face. Fluttershy smiled at the praise, brushing her mane with a wing, getting some semen on it in the process. Oh, it's no problem, she said. I don't mind. We can clean up later. She glanced down at his still erect dick. Are you still horny? She looked uncomfortably saying the word. I thought stallions could only go once before needing to rest. He winked at her. Zebra magic. Flutters. What can't it do? My second time with a shaman who was an expert in sex spells, she neglected to tell me that the spell for increased sexual stamina was permanent. Not that I'm complaining. She laughed. And he did as well. After a few moments, the laughter died down and Lightning Bolt looked into Fluttershy's eyes. Are you ready for the real thing? After a slight pause, she nodded. Fluttershy then turned around and moved her tail, exposing her backside to him. Lightning stood up, moving across the bed to her. She turned her head towards him as she spoke. Now, Fluttershy, as much as I love you, I'm not ready for a foe just yet. I have a feeling you aren't either, so I'm going to perform that zebra contraceptive spell real quick. Sorry about this. Before she could question his apology, he bent his head down and plucked the long pink hair from her tail with his teeth. Fluttershy yelped again and turned sharply to see what he was doing. As she watched, he fumbled with her hair, eventually tying it loosely around the base of his shaft. Prohibitio conceptio, he muttered. The pink hair began to glow. After a few seconds, the light dimmed and the hair was pure white, beaming softly. There, the spell lasts 6 hours and prevents conception with the pony that the hair belongs to. Lightning Bolt reared up and mounted Fluttershy, his cock pressing against her moistened entrance. She gasped, adjusting to handle his weight. Fluttershy lowered the front half of her body down, raising her hips against his body, taking them as a sign to continue. Lightning pressed forward, entering her. Fluttershy gasped as he penetrated her. He was gentle, but she was still a total virgin. She moaned, first with pain, then with pleasure. Despite her virginity, she managed to take his whole length. Past the medial ring and all the way down to the base, Lightning pushed a little, feeling her rump cushion him. Although not large, Fluttershy's ass was shapely, a feature of hers Lightning Bolt greatly appreciated. Lightning, I feel so full. It's amazing. Fluttershy breathed. You can start now. Just be gentle, okay? Of course, he agreed. He pulled back, then gave a slow thrust. Fluttershy's wetness provided ample lubrication, much to his satisfaction. He continued to thrust slowly, the tightness of her walls squeezing his member. Both Lightning and Fluttershy moaned, the pleasure increasing. Lightning Bolt began to go faster, feeling Fluttershy's rump squish under him as he pounded rhythmically. Fluttershy bucked her hips back in time. Fluttershy bucked her hips back in time with his thrusts, urging him deeper. His balls smacked against her again and again, the sound mixing with the other sticky sounds of intercourse. Lightning Bolt was on top of the world. Damn, I don't think she realizes how good she is at this, for her first time anyway. This connection I feel with her, it's amazing. And they both panted, though neither slowed down. They moved as one, synchronized, in a way only two ponies in love could be. This is it. This is what true passionate sex is like. That casual stuff with those zebra mirrors can't even compare. Oh, Lightning. Fluttershy whined. I'm getting close. She began to orgasm, her sex tightening around his length as she screamed with pleasure. Lightning gasped, the intense sensation bringing him to orgasm as well. He thrust as deep as possible and came hard, planting his seed deep inside her. Fluttershy's screams of ecstasy dwindled, replaced by heavy breathing. Waves of pleasure overcame the two, and for the next few moments, the only sounds from either of them were grunts and panting. Finally, their orgasms faded, and they collapsed onto the bed together. Their manes were disheveled, their coats glistening with sweat. Fluids leaked out of both of them, counting the covers of the bed. But none of that mattered. Lightning Bolt and Fluttershy snuggled in the middle of the bed, feeling the cool night air from the outside balcony blow into the bedroom. Looking up, Lightning realized that what he had assumed was the ceiling was actually a large glass skylight. He pointed it out to Fluttershy, then gazed up at the thousands of stars. Brightest of all was a full moon shining down on them. Lightning wondered to himself as he held Fluttershy close. The night sky is so beautiful. I wonder if Princess Luna is up there somewhere looking down on us. I've heard the rumors about her observing what her subjects do in the cloaking darkness of her night. She can watch if she wants. Doesn't bother me at all. This moment is too perfect. I could stay like this forever. The end. Well, I don't think Luna is looking upon YouTube, but a certain little bunny rabbit that sort of sneaked past you when Fluttershy came in might have been watching. That is like the other thing that bothered me. Like, why was Angel just in the middle of this? Like, I know he's protective of her, but seriously, that's just crossing the line too much in my opinion. Anyways, guys, hopefully you all have enjoyed that. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.
100,000 stories have filled my head as I look for the answer